What's up, YouTubes and fellow members of IFRWAC ATC, or also known as Infinite Fight Real World ATC. This is Ryan, and I am your head ATC trainer. Today, we're going to be doing a tutorial over clearance delivery to help you controllers and training get to know what it is. So, what is clearance delivery? Clearance delivery is the first people that pilots should talk to. Clearance delivery is in charge of making sure the flight plan is valid and giving VFR clearances out of class Bravo and Charlie airspace. So, how do these controllers give clearances in a orderly fashion? Well, they use the acronym called CRAFT. C-R-A-F-T. Also, pilots should use this acronym to write down their clearance. It makes it a lot easier. So, what does C stand for? It's going to be your clearance. Or your destination airport. I can spell right. R. What does R stand for? Well, how are we going to get to this destination? So it must be route. You know, there could be many different routes. It could be direct in non-busy areas, or you could go via SIDS. We'll discuss what that stands for in a later video. Or it could be radar vectors, which is RV to a certain point. So a point could include, you know, a fix, an airway to join a VLWAR, etc., etc. A is going to be your altitude. Now, an altitude can come in many shapes or forms. You can say, you know, maintain 5,000. It could be maintained at or below. In that case, I write that, and with an underline, it could be at or above. In that case, I write an arrow with that, or it could just be a hard cap 5,000. And then usually, they say expect, you know, your filed altitude. You know, within, you know, 5 or 10 minutes. This is because if you lose ATC on your radios, after 5 or 10 minutes, you would climb straight to that altitude without any ATC restrictions. F, well, what do you think F stands for? You guessed frequency. You are correct. And it's usually a departure frequency. This is the person that's going to tell you, you know, radar contact line, maintain X-axis, and give you a vector if needed onto your assigned routing. What could T stand for? You know, how is this departure dude, going to be able to see you? If you guess transponder, you are correct. This is the box set. Oh wow, that's horrible. Let's change colors too. That looks like this and has a number, you know, it could be 5, 4, 2, 3, and you know, have these little buttons on here: off, standby, altitude, ident, etc. And then maybe some cool functions over here. And this is used for this dude right here to see you on radar, and it's 5-digit correction, 4-digit code. That's 0 through 7. 0 through 7 only. 8 and 9 do not exist in the transponder code. So, hope this gives you definitions and what each thing stands for. If you give clearance in this route every time, the pilot should have no problem copying everything back. Alright guys, since we know the definitions and the jobs of a clearance delivery controller, let's look at a real example of a VFR clearance coming out of a Class Charlie airport that I fly into a lot as a VFR pilot. So, when I call them up, I tell them who I am and where I am and what direction I want to go, etc., etc. And then, as soon as they hear me, I already have, our acronym craft down. It's horrible. Let me redo this. So we have craft, C-R-A-F-T, craft. So for the C, I just put the airport. So usually I'm going back to here. In my route, obviously I'm a VFR pilot, so I'm not going to, use any navigation or anything. I'll just go GPS direct, so I usually just go do this with an arrow through it, the D with an arrow through it. Altitude, they'll call me up and it's usually maintain VFR at or below 2,000. So I personally write that as an arrow down and with the line at or below and then 2,000. Then they give me the frequency. Depending on the days, if I go in there during the weekend, everything's usually on one frequency, but usually the frequency is 135. That's a horrible 5. 135.4. So that's the departure frequency that I'm going to be talking once the tower switches me over. And the transponder code, well, it can be anything. Last time I had 0251, I believe. So I would plug that into my box. 025. Oh my gosh, it's 10. 0251. Put it on altitude reporting mode. And so I'd read this back as, my call sign would be, November 5194 Foxtrot. So I'd be like, and it's 172. So I'd be like, bringing back to clearance, I'd be like, Skyhawk 519 for Foxtrot, maintain VFR out below 2,000, parking frequency 135.4, squawk 0251, and that's all I would have to read back to them. And then they'd say, read back correct, or you missed this or this. Clearance delivery can give a heading, and usually you would want to put it, either here, a heading, or a heading up here. At my local Charlie airport, tower usually gives heading, but clearance delivery can also give you heading. And this is a VFR clearance. So, there's not a lot to it. Usually just an altitude, departure frequency, and a squawk, and sometimes a heading. Alright guys, so you just saw the VFR clearance delivery, so let's talk about an IFR clearance delivery. An IFR clearance delivery is somewhat the same, but it's also very different. In this segment, I will be going over that. So, we use the same acronym, CRAFT. So it's going to be C-R-A-F-T. So, for this example, we're going to be pretend we're flying from Los Angeles International to Las Vegas. So here I'll just put as my clearance LAX to Las Vegas. Pretty simple, right? Now our route. Let's say that I filed this right here. So the Ocean 8 departure Meissen, and then the KPEC 4 arrival into Vegas. So we'd call it clearance delivery, and then we'd be like Southwest 16 like a pick 5 for Las Vegas, and they'd be like Las Vegas or Southwest 16 cleared to the Las Vegas McCarran International Airport via the Ocean 8 departure Meissen transition, and then as filed. So we put Ocean 8. Ocean 8 Meissen. Then I'm gonna just put AFS filed. And then they could say climb via the SID. I'll just say climb via SID. Affect, flight level 270 within 10. Again, they say that. So if you lose radio communications with ATC, you go straight up to flight level 270. Departure frequency 125. Wow, horrible 5. 12. Again, a horrible 5. 125. 0.4. And your transponder can be 7126. So you would read this back as Southwest 16 click to Las Vegas McCarran International Airport, Ocean 8 Meissen transition as filed, climb via the SID, expect flight level 270 within 10 minutes, departure 125.4 squawk 7126 as your transponder code. Now let's take a look at this departure, which is shown right here. Now this is the Ocean 8, which we'll be going to, and so let's look at it. It's an R now departure, and the top altitude is 17,000. So climb via the SID means to come to this altitude right here, 17,000 feet, while complying with all these instructions. So let's say we went off with 24 right, so Delta rate at or below 3,000, and then we just follow this RNAV path all the way around Cahill at or above 15,000, Zoom at above 16,000, and then just follow the track onto Meissen. And then by the time we get to Meissen, we better be at 17,000. So you climb via the SID means follow all the points and the restrictions all the way up to the top altitude. Also, the departure frequency is right here, the one that's underlined. So it's not really that hard when they say climb via the SID. Just look at the top altitude if there is one, and then just follow the approaches. They could also say climb via the SID, except maintain 5,000. So you'd climb all the way up the SID, maintain 3 at or below 3 at Delta rate, etc., but you would stop your climb at 15,000. No matter if you're here as CB. If you're at CB at 15,000, you couldn't be above. You just stop your climb there. Well, I hope that kind of makes sense on an IFR departure with the chart. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. This is intended use for Infinite Flight, which is a mobile simulator on your Apple or Android device. This is not for real world navigation. Also, I am a private pilot in the US working on my instrument rating, so please do not take any of these instructions as flight training, and I might have missed some information. If I do, someone please correct me. I do try and give as accurate information as I can.